Why, hello there. So I recently, and by recently, I mean 3 minutes ago, I don't know why I said recently, I just filmed a video with a tutorial with this eye look, and I thought I would start off a compilation of videos that are my one-on-one 101 tutorial series. So this will be my first one. As you can tell, my skin is bare, or as bare as it should be before I start this. My skin is prepped and my skin is primed. Now, I thought that I would start you guys off kind of seeing what I would suggest as a professional makeup artist, what I would suggest for complexion. So I'm just going to dive right in. But before I do, please do not forget to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so that you know when I start posting these videos. All right, so I always prime my skin. I actually now am doing a couple of things. This is all my personal routine, but I'm actually thinking of not telling you exactly what brands I'm using. If you want to know that, leave a comment in the section down below and I will let you know, but I'm just going to give a generic overview of what I would suggest should be the steps that you guys should take if you care. So I like to prime my skin first, and my skin is primed. I always prep my skin before I even prime with a proper serum, moisturizer, eye cream. So all of that is done. Now, my step that I did not do, I'm just going to quickly do. And this just adds a glow. All right. And I also apologize if it sounds like someone is peeing in the background. No one is peeing. Unfortunately, the ice is melting. It was freezing lately. So now, because the temperature is happily warming up, yeah, you will hear the ice melting because I have the window open. All right, so now my skin is like fully primed and ready for complexion. Now, tonight I'm going out, so I would prefer a slightly fuller coverage. So I have some pigmentation, I have picked some acne, which is really fun. So I am mixing a couple of shades, so I'm just gonna do that on the back of my hand. So I'm mixing my darker shade and my lighter shade. And honestly, I'm just taking the back of a brush and kind of swirling. And this is my first time doing this, so I don't even know if this is going to come out how I want it to. But let's hope for the best. So I like to take a brush. I have tried it. Oh, that's not bad. Sorry. I have tried it with a sponge. It doesn't work for me. So I personally believe in tools. I do not think that using your fingers works nearly as well. I have spoken to clients so many times and they say, oh yeah, I just use it like sunscreen, put some foundation, blend it on. And I'm like, okay. Yeah, so I think that leads to streaking, missing certain sections of the face, and you just look a little bit uneven. I think a brush really gives that beautiful coverage, and even if you aren't looking for heavier coverage, it just gives a very nice, even, all over polished finish. So I'm just going to make sure I get good coverage over here. And another important thing is to not be afraid to be friendly to your hairline, because a lot of people are afraid to get makeup in their hair. It's never gonna really look like that. I have dark hair, but I'm getting makeup pretty close there because I never want it to look like it starts or stops. My complexion starts or stops anywhere. You want it to look as natural as possible. Same with the nose, even with the mouth. I have a lip balm on, but I'm just gonna. Some people go over their mouth. and then just remove it, but I have my lip balm on. Just gonna make sure I really cover that guy. So during the summer, when I'm much more tan, I don't really use a lot of foundation, but, and I am, trust me, I'm tan right now, but especially when I like to go out, I want to look flawless. And lately I've been liking more of a truly flawless look. So I'm not saying to paint your entire ear, but don't be afraid to get close to your ear, even get a little further back. And I'm doing this when there's not a ton of product left on my brush. Like I'm not taking it and then doing it. Same thing with blending a little bit down the neck, not adding product and then blending. I'm just using whatever is kind of left, making sure there are no lines of demarcation. I used to actually break out a lot on my jawline, so I really needed to cover it, but I don't anymore. Thank you, Halo Beauty. Not sponsored, wish it was. But yeah, that really helped. It was more hormonal breakouts, and Halo Beauty really helped me there. So just making sure everything looks super blended. Another last tip. When I realized when I was filming, I would look back and I would notice that I had some streaking. So another really weird but accurate thing to do when you're looking is to do a pufferfish face. So you just go, and you can really see that you did not miss anything. Everything is super blended. Damn it. Really? That one thing. I really fucked with my face there. Okay. There we go. So, and I like to do a little right on the brow bone because I tend to do my eyes first. But I like to look very cohesive. All right, all blending down. We are golden. Now I'm just taking a little paper towel and just wiping off because I always forget that and then I get it in my hair. Really fun. Oy. All right. So my complexion is on. Now I'm going to do my under eyes. So I always recommend if you have a drier under eye area like I do, I use under eye primer. So I will always recommend this one because I don't really know of too many others. This is something I will let you know about the brand. This is the Smashbox Photo Finish Hydrating Under Eye Primer. It looks really nice and blurry. Come on, there we go. Looks like that. So I take about a pea-sized amount and I really pat it and then massage it so it really absorbs into the skin. And I go right up to the lash line too. Even though I use a great eye cream, I still get crepiness. And even though I'm using a new concealer, which I am obsessed with, I just really want to make sure that everything looks really good. So because I'm darker, I have another concoction. So I do use 2 different colors for concealer. That is an extravagant thing to do. It's always good to go for a concealer that is very, very, very close to your complexion color, but just a teeny tiny bit lighter so that it brightens your under eye area. The only reason why someone would want to is that, like, want 2 concealers is that A, you can have a lighter section to really brighten, and then one to kind of go for the rest of the complexion if you want something that just blends in seamlessly. Or do what I do, because I don't really use concealers that, like, for the rest of my face. I use just a fuller coverage foundation. Is this lighter? Yes, it is. So, but this is what I do. So I use a lighter concealer and I just kind of dot it closer to my under eye, to my lash line. And then I use a slightly deeper shade, which is closer to my skin tone, and I kind of marry that just right underneath it. Now I'm going to take a beauty blender, which I do use, and I just kind of press that right into the under eye area. So starting right from the inner corner with the tip of the sponge, inner corner of my eye, and just blending out. You could just stop right at the outer corner of the eye, but I like to bring it out a little bit. It gives more of a lifted and brighter area. Also, you will notice that I did not do a huge triangle. I did use an excessive amount of concealer, but I have very dark hereditary under eye circles. So I tend to like a brighter under eye. So just kind of pressing, and I will bring the color down with the sponge a little bit, but that is just a personal preference. You do not need to do everything that I do. You do not need to do every step. This is just what I like to do. And yeah, so then whatever's left on the sponge, what I like to do is I like to brighten the area right below my natural hollow of my cheek, because I do not like my weight. That is my personal opinion. And I feel like I am a little bit heavier than I'd like to be. So I feel like it gives me a little bit more brightness, and it looks like my face is a little bit slimmer. So I take whatever is left and I just kind of do a little bit over here. See, it just kind of lightens it a little. And a little over here. It just naturally highlights. Same over here. And if you need to, you have a little too much product or you don't want it, just use your finger and press. Because if you use your sponge, sometimes it just kind of moves the product as opposed to blending it exactly where you want it. I guarantee I'm gonna watch this video over and I'm gonna be like, what did I say? What was that? And the reason why I tend to look up is I feel like it smooths my under eye skin while I'm pressing. Also, with a beauty blender, you do not rub, you pounce. That's the deal with a beauty blender. I'm also being careful not to touch my eyeliner, so I will just go right underneath it. A little on the nose, a little underneath where the hollow of my cheek is. Just whatever is left. There are some people who do really take that lighter concealer, do that whole painting like war paint. I've done it in the past. It's not really my jam. So now I do like, because it's all creamy liquid products, to set with a powder. Now, I am darker right now, so when I was very dark, I was strictly using a darker setting powder, but now I'm getting lighter, so I'm using a little bit of a lighter as well, mixing a little. So I am literally mixing my lighter with my darker. Sorry for the noise. So in one lid, I'm mixing, and in another, I'm just keeping the light, just to make it a little bit lighter. And for the longest time, when the medium deep color powder came out, I was like, yes, like this is great. And I was using that, and I would mix it with my lighter one, and it was a beautiful color. But then I realized it was just a lot of work. So I just stuck with the translucent shade, and it was great. So what I'm gonna do is take my sponge and just kind of dip in there, because I am more combination skin. If you are not so combination skin, and I'm also patting off, if you're not so combination skin, you can take a brush and just kind of lightly dust, and it just sets and locks everything in. If you are dry, sometimes you don't even need to use a powder, but I do like to kind of lock in my makeup. So it's always good to do some type of setting. I will use a setting spray. That's also a good way to do it. If you are dry, setting spray would be great, because it'll give you that hydration you need. So I'm taking my sponge. I also like to press it into the back of my hand, because it presses it into the sponge and it takes off a lot of excess product. So I'm just gonna kind of pat that over my face. And then by the time I feel like I got a good amount of it off the sponge, I'm taking the butt of the sponge, which doesn't have anything on it, making sure that I blend in my under eyes so that there's no creasing, because it's always good to make sure that everything's super smooth first. Really want this to focus. And then I'm gonna go back, add a little bit of powder that was just left on my hand, and then just kind of lightly, like not a ton of powder because I'm pretty dry. And that just helps to set it without looking super dry and cakey. Gonna go back, add some more powder, go back in my concoction, look at all that powder, press it into the sponge, into the forehead. And some people like to bake. Like I do this, and I don't really feel like I dust off anything. My skin, like I'll use bronzer and contour and everything, and that's like the natural dusting away. But otherwise I kind of want it to stay like this because my skin is really combination to oily. So, I mean, even though it's winter, so I'm pretty dry for me. So it's all personal preference. So take what you can from this and leave what doesn't work for you. So it's a lot of powder. Another thing that people will do is that they will take, which I plan on doing, I'm taking the butt end this time with just the light powder, pressing that here. And I'm going to just do a tiny bit in the inner corner just to kind of brighten. And that I will take just like a light brush and just kind of sweep. I could let that bake, but I'm dry. So just thought it would give a little bit of brightness. It's a lot of pouncing. All right, and whatever's left, just make sure everything is set. All right. All right. Now is the color. So I'm gonna start with my brows. I'm taking a brow pencil. I was gonna be like, this is what I'm using, but I'm like, it doesn't matter. I'm just gonna do a few hair strokes with a brow pencil, do a little brow gel. I like my brows to look more natural these days, so yeah, that's just what it is. It's good to tilt your head back so that you can really see under the brow. And some people will ask, you know, do I need a brow gel or a brow pencil or a brow pomade? Which one's right for me? I think it's about your lifestyle, your artistry skill, what feels comfortable for you. For me, I like a pencil because I feel like I have the most control. You can blend it out. It's not like you have to worry about it setting like a pomade. I think it looks more natural than a pomade. I don't like to carve out my brows. I say carve out with little air quotes because it sounds cheesy. I get it, some people do it and it works for them, but to me, I'm just like, meh. I just like more natural. So now I'm just gonna brush down a little. And you know how I wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna dust all this off. Right now, technically, all the powder I pressed into the skin is baking. So it's all good. All right, that's one brow. I'll get closer so you can see. So I like to start at the bottom of the brow, kind of make that line. Flick up, fill in this gap. I'll do an example. See that little mark that I made right there? Just take your spoolie and just kind of groom and brush away. It literally sounds like someone's peeing outside my window. So annoying. All right. So now, and I just kind of go through the whole brow and just do a few flicks. Then I like to comb the brow hair down so I can really see this natural line and just give it a little bit of structure, especially up here. And I take the spoolie and soften that out, flick the hairs back up. Awesome. Because then I'm going to use brow gel anyway. This one looks so much thicker than this one. Brows are sisters, but they're not twins. There's so many sayings like that. Sisters, not twins. Cousins, but not sisters. They're related, but they're not biological. It's like, we get it. We get it. They're adopted. So stupid. All right, so I'm not gonna do my brow gel yet. Now I'm gonna add color to my face. So when it comes to contour, what I like to always say is to start with the hollow of the cheek. I like to say start from the center of your ear. If you don't know where the hollow of your cheek is, that's a good starting point. Also, use your fingers, feel. And you can feel where your cheekbone is. Here's my cheekbone, so I know it's gonna be right below it, which happens to be the center of my ear. So I'm gonna take my powder and I'm gonna start right here. And I also, when I sweep, I never sweep the product further in than the outer corner of my eye, which is right here. So I'm just gonna sweep, but you also wanna sweep in an upwards motion because it lifts the cheekbone, or gives the illusion of lifting the cheekbone. So I just kind of sweep upwards and almost outwards. You can go as dark as you want to. Because I'm not as tan, I'm not doing a ton of this color. I'm actually going to dip into my Stone Street, ooh, I said a name, whatever, as well. Yeah, which gives more of a neutral base for me. So I stop at the outer corner of the eye. Then I go along the jawline. So you don't do it up here where it's visible, you tuck under your jaw. And that's where you know to put the product, because you want to give the illusion of a slimmer jaw. So if you did it up here, you're going to see the makeup. If you do it up here, under here, then it's going to look more natural. I'm sorry this video is longer, but this is more of a tutorial base, guys. And also don't be afraid to kind of pull it back, because again, you don't ever want it, and a little on the ear, so you don't ever want it to look like your contour starts or stops anywhere. Like go into the hairline. I like to frame my face. This is also not necessarily how you would say to everyone, okay guys, like you're gonna do it exactly this type of contour shape for every face. It's different for every face, but you can always kind of bring up those cheekbones a little bit, go along the jawline if you want to, but I like to kind of shave down my temples a tiny bit. And it also gives warmth to the skin, so. See how I'm even going back? Because I don't want it to ever look like my contour stops right here. I'm just letting it flow freely. What are you? I have a glitter in my hair. Now, for nose contour, mixing both colors, dabbing off some product on my hand, and I'm just going lightly, lightly, lightly on the sides. So as you can see, this side of my nose is a little bit more bulbous than this side. So I'm just gonna go a little bit higher up and then blend down the nostril a little. And it just helps to kind of soften out this side of my nose. And then whatever's left on the brush, I'm just kind of slightly sweeping down. And I'm using a flat brush that's pretty soft. And yes, you can do underneath. I don't really need to. Do I need to contour my nose? Hell no. Didn't mean to sound like, hell no, I'm beautiful, but I just do it because it's fun. That's the whole point of makeup. Makeup should be fun. If you look at this video and you're like, I have to do this, no, fuck no. You don't have to do anything. All this is because we're having fun. All right. So next, what I like to do, which this is totally optional, I like to then take, again, like a warm shimmery bronzer, and I just kind of go over where I contoured a little higher up on my cheek. It brings some warmth to my skin, so a little more on the forehead as well as the frame of the face. And I feel like this blends out the contour a little, gives more warmth to the skin. I also blend this down the neck, but also where I contoured. And again, it's meant to blend the contour, but also to just add some warmth to the skin. And it's just super pretty. Like, nobody can ever tell me that I'm ever too bronze. Well, that's not true. I've been there. And this is when I'll do a little on the ears. All right, now I'm doing blush, and I just like something to be kind of a natural flush. I feel like back in the day, people would take their lipsticks and kind of press it on the cheek for a cohesive look, which is also great, but I like something now, just pretty natural. Now, the best trick for blush is when you smile, 2 fingers away from your nostril is going to be the area that you're gonna skip. So you're gonna start your blush around here, and then you're just going to focus kind of right over here. But you're not necessarily gonna go high up. You're just gonna kind of do almost like a Nike swoosh. So 2 fingers away from the nostril, so right over here, and just kind of down and up. See? Down and up. Doesn't have to be too pigmented. Like, you don't need it to be so loud, just super pretty. I love a lot of blush. This is a personal preference, so I'm just gonna add a little bit more, but I like to kind of put it right over here. I don't like it to be right here. And I like to pat it. I feel like it stays on really well, whatever brand I'm using. And yeah, I don't know why. I like to sweep a little, but I really like to pat. Then I do a little bit on the nose, a little bit on the forehead, a little bit on the chin. Just keeps the color cohesive. Another great trick is to take a blending brush with your blush and just do a tiny bit in your crease. Again, just cohesive. Now I'm going to do my brow gel and just do a tiny bit to add some thickness and volume. It really sounds like someone's peeing. All right. And then I'm going to highlight. So I'm gonna take a little bit of my highlight. Now, highlight is meant for the high points of the face. Nowadays, everyone is layering it all over their face. Technically, the glow that I have from one of my primers is beautiful, and it gives me this really nice sheen that I love, but we all now are really into this trending, beaming highlight. I am not such a glowy girl, but I like to put it right on the tops of my cheekbone, just a little bit. I do tend to have more texture on my cheeks, so I don't like a ton. Another reason why you would leave this area bare is if you wanted to, you could do a small amount here or do a lighter color concealer or foundation over here to really lighten the center of the face. I'm gonna do a little in the center of the bridge of the nose. A lot of people, it's a trend, they put highlighter on the tip of their nose. To me, not my thing. If it's your thing, awesome. I do a little bit over here, makes the lips look a little fuller, a little on the chin, and that's about it. I mean, sometimes I'll just kind of bring it up by the brows a little, just to make it look like it catches the light. But that's about it. And then it just comes to lips. Thank you so much for sticking with me for 32 minutes. You guys are fucking awesome. But if you liked this video, if you liked this concept, then leave it in the comments below. But otherwise, this is kind of one of my videos that I've been wanting to do for a little while. I did go to school for this. I do know what I'm talking about. So, you know, if this isn't your shtick, don't watch these kind of videos. But if it is and you want to see more, let me know. Thank you so much for watching. Why did I have to burp right there? Honestly, I will see you guys in my next video. Have a great day. Bye.